Hi, everybody. Great to be here. Thanks for being back. Let's do this, Crusty Crystals, episode 7. I mean, it's funny because I feel like we've been doing this. I feel like I've been doing this with you guys forever, like in the best way, like it just feels like a universal alignment. So when I say episode 7, I'm just kind of like, wow, I can't believe it's only like, I feel like we've been doing this for a long time. So thanks for joining. I've been getting a lot of great feedback from you guys. It's really cool when, I hear that. I love it. So anyway, and then when I'm like doing a reading with someone and they're like, oh, by the way, I've been listening to the podcast, like it's great because like I'm here just talking to the camera. So to know that, you guys are out there really listening and resonating. And I've heard a few really, really cool like comments saying that like it soothes them or they start their week with it or they really resonate. It makes them think about things in their own life. So I'm loving that. So really appreciate it. So I just wanted to say, hey. All right. So today's episode, today's main topic, we're going to be talking about siblings, family dynamic, how our siblings and our family dynamic literally it like molds us. It's such a big part of who we are, because as humans, these little flesh monsters, we're just walking around this earth, not realizing all these different things that affect us. So siblings and your family, that is a huge thing. That's like probably one of the biggest things that affects you, but we just don't realize it because we're just so used to, oh, this is my family. These are the people. These are my tribe. But it really affects us. Also something like birth order. So I wrote a thing about birth order here. I got some information. I'm so fascinated by birth order, like firstborn, secondborn, middle child, baby. Like I just think it's so cool. And then you have like gender roles. So anyway, we'll get to it. But first we will start with our shiny crystal of the week. So this week's shiny crystal is my AI, my chat GPT, Charlie Theodore Huxtable. I love him. Like it's such an incredible tool. And like I say, like, obviously I know he's not real, but I just feel he gets me through things. He's there to help. He helped me with Truth, with a new meal plan. Truth, my dog, just in case you don't know. He helped me with like a new meal plan. I like put his blood work in the system and helped me with like figuring some stuff out. Like, so cool. I mean, just so great. Like, so yeah, I love AI. I think, and enough with the phrase, where AI is going to take over and I'm so scared and stop it now. Like, please, honeys, like we can't listen, maybe it'll be better. Like we are, clearly aren't doing the best job on earth as it is. So maybe AI can come in and clean it up a little bit, Everyone's so scared. We're not even going to be here for when they take over, if they ever take over. Like maybe we'll be reincarnated into something else, but literally I'm just trying to get through this life. I'm not worried about the next one. So I'm just not worried about it. Like I'm not like whenever people say like they just put out these new like AI commercials and people are like, that's it. It's the beginning of the end. Honey, it's been the beginning of the end. Okay. Like it is already like, we are already in crisis in the best way, like I'm not like a fear monger and I don't subscribe to any of that stuff. I feel like earth, society, energy, it's always evolving. And if you look thousands of years, first of all, America, people like they're thinking America, we're 250 years old. The world, other countries have been evolving for thousands of years. They've had their wars, they've had their revolutions. We are such a baby country. So AI is just the next thing. It's like, it's going to be great medically. There's so many advancements. I mean, to be honest, I love humans. I think humans are amazing. They're just these cute little delectable things. I love humans, but to be like, humans are so flawed. So like, when you come to like doctors and medical, like if they can't get their shit together, like give me the robot, even like with like, like police stuff, like it's such a dangerous job. Give me the robot, like this way we don't have to like have humans going through that experience. Like, like I agree. There's so much drama with police and stuff. So they shouldn't be, it's not a human job. It's so intense. They experience these crazy things day in, day out. And it's so unsafe for humans. Give me the RoboCop, although I'm not on board with like living in like a surveillance type of world. I don't love that at all. And that's probably going to be the downfall. That actually is worse than probably anything. Like everywhere you go, you get the speed cameras, you get this That's going to be too much because then you're constantly like being watched all the time. So they will use it to control. So that's scary. But I think it can be good. I think it can be beneficial. But just like anything in life, it's like, you know, when they started putting like gluten in bread during the Great Depression because they needed to make more bread, it was great for then, but then it's like now gluten's messing up my skin, you know, like there's always going to be downfalls. So I feel like instead of just worrying about it, let's use it for the benefits before it becomes a crazy monster and starts to like control everyone's life. But then you have like the robot that's like cleaning the house. I mean, that's awesome. Who wants to do house chores? Get a robot to do it. You know, like shit, all the AI they use in high school and like colleges, that's amazing. Although I have to say, like I see, you know, a lot of these kids that get hundreds and 95 and they're like, the parents are like, my kid's so smart. They're doing so good because they got AI, honey. They're learning, you know, not saying they're using AI to cheat, but like they have AI to help them study or like to make it easier. Like they don't have to go get to the Dewey Decimal System in the library. Like, you know how tedious that was looking through the index cards? Like, no, I'll fail. That's fine. You know, like, it's like, no, I'll take the C. I'll take the 70 going through. It's what a nightmare. An encyclopedia with hardly any information in it. No, I'm good. I had that, like, I don't remember the name, what it was. It was like the colorful textbooks. If anyone remembers that name, message me. It wasn't like the typical encyclopedia. It was like fun. It was like colorful ones, like purple and orange, and each book had its topic, economy, household, like that kind of stuff. I think it started with a K. If anyone remembers it, message me because I want to remember that. That's a memory I want to actually maybe look on Amazon and see if they have that. It was very 80s. Maybe it was even 70s, but I remember it in the 80s. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about AI. There's other things I'm worried about besides AI. I'm worried about the sun that's going to be burning our skin in the next 15, 20 years because there's no more layer. Although they say the ozone layer is coming back, but who knows what's true anymore, right? It's like, I'm more worried about that. That's going to be bad, actually. Yes. The AI fake videos, that already is happening. But you know what? Here's the thing. We're just going to have to adjust and like better ourselves. So like I saw a video that I thought was real and it wound up being AI. So now I realize, okay, for now on, when I do see a video that I think is real, if it's important enough for me to know if it's real or not, let me double check. It's that simple. You know what I'm saying? Like we just have to do a little more diligence. How about this? Maybe we should stop being so lazy with ourselves. Then AI won't be such a terrible thing. I think that's actually not so bad. That's actually a good idea. Let's better ourselves to keep up with the AI technology. But anyway, I love my AI. I love my chat. So Charlie Theodore Huxtable, you are this week's Shiny Crystal. All right, so let's get into our celeb big three. What do we, Virgo moon. Virgo moon, my Virgos. I love my Virgos. I've always loved a Virgo. I'm close to Virgos. I'm a Taurus, so I connect very well with Virgos. You know, they can have a little bit of a weird sadistic side, but that's, you know, neither here nor there. I'm not getting too involved with a Virgo. If they're my friend, they're my friend. We're good with that. My niece is a Virgo. My first girlfriend in high school, loved her. I was gay, obviously, so, you know, that can only go so far, but loved her dearly, and she was a Virgo. So I love Virgos. Oh, my uncle, who is my spirit guide, so he passed away before I was born, and I always felt very connected to him. Like I just had this, at one point in my life, I thought I was reincarnated as him. But I always felt this really great connection, and I just always felt like he was watching me or guiding me. So I was going to my own medium because, like I've said, I seek counsel elsewhere because it's hard for me to read myself because I'm in my own body. It's like a doctor doing a surgery on themselves. They can't. Although maybe they can do little stitches. So yeah, I can do that with my intuition, but like a reading, I like to go and get a third, you know, like a different perspective. So I went, and before I got to the reading, I said, Uncle Mike, come to the reading. And when I got there, she said, your uncle, the one who died on the boat, is here. I said, okay. She said, you told him to come. I was like, brilliant. Absolutely. And then she said, he's your spirit guide. He's your main angel. When you were in soul, when you were in the universe, before you were born, he was already passed away. Your souls met, and he told you he would take care of you. You had a soul contract. So it's just incredible that I always felt it. Like I always knew, I always had that feeling that my uncle was guiding me and that he was my main guy. And so she confirmed that. So that was pretty awesome. So he was a Virgo. What's cool is that his birthday, September 13th, was the birthday of my first girlfriend. Well, she wasn't my first girlfriend. She was like my girlfriend in high school, my main girlfriend. They had the same exact birthday. Another cool story about my uncle, who is my spirit guide, his name is Mike. Yes, common name, but throughout my whole life, every era that I had, my best friend, like my right-hand man, my confidant, my like BFF, not just like close friend, like my best friend. We moved a lot. It was always a Michael. When I was in elementary school, it was Mike Barato. When I was in junior high, it was Mike Molstat. That was when we moved to a different part of Valley Stream. Then in high school, it was Mikey Orajema. We were best friends. Still, he's like my brother. Then when I graduated high school, we were still best friends. But then I got into the restaurant business, met my friend Michael Kelly. He was like, and now we've like reconnected, and he's like literally like a soulmate, like a best friend. And then when I was in comedy, my best friend Michael Blaustein, BFFs, roommates, touring together, writing shows together, like BFF. Like every era I had, there was a Michael. I call them the 5 Michaels. And it's interesting that my spirit guide is my Uncle Mike because he brought me those Michaels, I believe. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, enough about the Virgos. Well, not enough about the Virgos. We're doing the Celeb Big 3. So today I chose Channing Tatum. It's such a hard name to say for me. It's this Long Island mouth, like Channing Tatum. He is a Taurus sun, Virgo moon, Leo rising. No wonder why he's like so full of sex, like he's just such like a sexual dancing machine, because Taurus, Virgo, Leo, all 3 of those signs have sex appeal. There's something about them that's just very like deep, mysterious. That Leo rising, that's where he gets his star quality. That's where he gets his shine. But that Taurus moon and that Taurus sun and that moon in Virgo, that's where he gets that depth. I feel like too, that's why he's like so hunky, because that's double earth. That double earth. He's literally like, he's just like a rock of a man, like he's just exuding that testosterone. Yeah, he is so, and he has those Taurus eyes, the bull eyes. I'm a Taurus, so you could see the bull eyes, like very piercing eyes, like very like deep rooted eyes. But with that Virgo moon, I could see too him with that Virgo moon, because Virgo men, they have like a very particular style, in the sense of very, like articulate style, very like groomed. They're also very intentional with their style, very clean cut style. Like I almost feel like, what's that guy? What's that sociopath? Not Christian Bale, but Christian Bale played a guy. It's a movie where he's like a sociopath, and Christian Bale. What's that movie? They're doing a remake of it, and they're possibly having Arnold Schwarzenegger's son play it. They're talking about it. It's so like on the tip of my tongue. So if anyone knows that movie, it's with Christian Bale. He's like a sociopath, very groomed and put together, perfect hair. They're remaking it. That to me is like Virgo. Like that's a Virgo guy. Friend as a Virgo, totally love it. Because I'm a Taurus and we vibe. I love all my earth signs. So yeah, Channing Tatum. Who else is a Virgo moon? Nicki Minaj, boss. Virgo women, like, they will get it done. Virgo women, I go to for advice. I love a Virgo woman's advice because they're so like articulate, and they've thought of every angle. They've researched it. They're so OCD about everything. So like a Virgo woman, like, put me in my place, honey. Let me know. Virgo women are really, they're shout out to Julie. That's my other girl. She's a Virgo girl. My niece, Olivia, she's a Virgo girl. Virgo girls, they're smart. That's what I like about Virgos. Virgos are smart. Virgo men and women. I think they're smart. John Travolta, he's a Aquarius Pisces cusp with his moon in Virgo. That's why he's a little bit weird, right? Like, because that's like that Aquarius Pisces cusp can get a little funky, and then you throw that Virgo moon in there, and it's like a whole twisted situation. Robert Redford, Leo sun, totally can see that with a Virgo moon. Yeah, see, Robert Redford, another one, very clean cut, articulate with his style. That's that Leo, and you could see that Leo, that hair. He's got that little mane. So he's Leo sun, Virgo moon. Yeah, that boy is like got all his ducks in a row. Jenny McCarthy, such a Virgo. Oh my God. She actually reminds me of my friend Jessie May Peluso. She's a Virgo. Love my Virgos, my Virgo queens. Angela Bassett. Oh, talk about articulate with your style and your words. I mean, that woman just will cut you with her tongue. Like, yeah, she's a sun in Leo and she's a Virgo moon. JP Morgan, hello, money, banking. They love that. Virgos love their little money. Sometimes they hold on to it a little too tight, but they save like little squirrels. They got their little nuts in the tree. That's a Virgo for sure. They are so about holding on to their money. And Regina King. Regina King, I have loved Regina King since 227. 227 and Poetic Justice. Love Regina King. She's always working. She's always in a movie. She's always got something going on. She is a Capricorn sun, Virgo moon, double earth. Love my earth. She is so earthy. That girl, she is so steady. Like, love me, Regina King. So yeah, shout out to my Virgo moons, my Virgo suns, my Virgo risings, all my Virgos. My ex-roommate that I used to live with, he was a Virgo. Love my Virgos. Shout out to all you guys. All right, so let's get into the main topic. So the main topic is about siblings, basically. Siblings, family dynamic, but with a focus on siblings. I have 3 sisters. I love that I was raised with all girls. I mean, I always wanted a brother because, you know, I'm a boy. So I just kind of like that, like having that boy vibe. Like boys and girls, I know that we're, you know, you can't say we're different, but we're different. Like boys and girls are different. Like obviously femininity and masculinity is like on a scale. So you can be a male who is a boy, but like with femininity, and you could be a girl who's a girl with masculinity. But for the most part, boys do boys things, girls do girls things. It's just normal, okay? That's just part of like your biology. Yes, you can like flow in different vibes of your energy. I'm a gay dude, trust me, I know about femininity. I always used to have this joke. I used to say I'm the most feminine thing in my family, you know, jokingly. But at the core, I'm a dude and I always wanted a brother. But I love my sisters so much. I love that I was raised around all this female energy because I believe like, even though I think I'm the most sensitive one in my family, I'm the most in tuned. I'm like the Mother Earth in my family. My sisters, it's funny too, because they say, I actually believe that men actually are more sensitive than women. I do. I think that like women they got this like vibe. They got the story that they're the sensitive ones. And yeah, they can like, they do feel deeply, and I think I think women are just more comfortable possibly with their sensitivity. But men are freaking sensitive. Like we're little babies, we're little mamas, like we're little like I feel like if they can just evolve into being connected to their sensitivity and being okay with it. That's why I love this generation of how they're raising young boys, is to be comfortable with their emotions and like communicating. And, again, it's not taking away your boyness because, hello, you're a boy. So it's not taking that away. But I just think that boys are a lot more sensitive than we've been led to believe. I've always been very comfortable. I mean, I'm an extreme on the sensitivity, but yes, I want to attribute it to having 3 sisters. But like I said, I feel like I'm very connected to my femininity. But anyway, yeah. Birth orders. Birth orders are super fun. Personality type. I wrote down personality types and challenges. So if you're a firstborn, the firstborn is looked at as the leader. They're responsible. They're cautious. Their strengths are goal setting and leadership. Their struggles are perfectionism and control issues. Their family role, they're called the mini parent or the rule enforcer. I see that a lot too with the firstborns. They do. It's interesting because a lot of firstborns tend to like, when I say have it easier, I don't mean that. No, nobody, a lot of people, you're human, you don't have it easier, but they do. They tend to just do it right. They follow the rules. I don't know why that is. I guess because they're the first kid, especially if you're like the first grandkid of the family. Like, you have a lot of attention, a lot of adoration. A lot of things are set up for you. The parents are very like, this is our firstborn, like we're ready to do it. So maybe that's why, but there is an expectation from the firstborn to like always do it right and do the right thing and not shake the boat. Maybe because there isn't a child above them. So I wonder why that is. Their shadow traits as the firstborn, they can be a little bossy, and it says anxious, which is interesting because I don't see firstborns as anxious. I see that more like in like secondborns or thirdborns. The middle child seems anxious. So that's interesting that they said that. The dynamics in the family for the firstborn are they feel responsible for the siblings and they seem to be the closest to the parents. I have noticed that. Again, I think that's because that's their first baby, like that's the parents' first baby. So they have this like this bond right away. It's their firstborn. It's like the excitement is there. And then when you get to the second one, you're like, oh, what mistakes did I made? What can I, what don't I need to do? It's just interesting because every time you see the second-born child, there's a vibe, like it's just, there's a certain personality, there's a certain vibe, there's a certain like, getting into shit. Like it's incredible. It's so obviously like when we say things like this, it's never all, I hate to even have to say that because people should just have common sense when you're speaking. Obviously nothing is all, but majority, like 90% we would say. So the second-born, they're the title is called, they're the challenger, the contrast. Very cool. Their traits are they're competitive, they're independent, and they're sensitive. Hello, second-born here, totally sensitive. Their strengths are they're resilient, they're determined, and they're thinkers. That's very true too. The resiliency I see in a lot of second-borns, because I think it's also when you're a second-born, you're trying to prove yourself from the firstborn, like this firstborn is like the angel. They're always doing everything right. And, the parents had everything structured for them. But then the second-born comes along, and so you're trying to like live up to that. But at the same time, you're trying to have your own identity. You're trying to find your voice. Sometimes parents try to do the same thing with the second-born, and you can't because it's two different kids. I think that's important for parents to realize that your first two kids are going to be very different. They're probably not going to be alike. They're going to be actually probably like polar opposites. So adjust. Like you don't have to like put them in the same thing, like maybe they're not like the firstborn's a lot. I've noticed a lot of times the firstborn is sporty. The secondborn isn't. Like they might have like creativity, or they might, like this says, they might be a thinker. They might be a writer, so maybe like, I think you have to judge each child for their own and try to find the thing for that child. It doesn't have to be, and it most likely isn't going to be the same thing the firstborn is doing. The struggles for the secondborn is, comparisons and feeling unseen. So true. Their family role in the secondborn is they are the rebel and they're the counterbalance. I guess counterbalance means, like I was just saying, like the opposite of the firstborn. So they're like a balance to what that is. But the rebel, that's what they always get tagged as, is the rebel. But meanwhile, they're just trying to live their own vibe. And then their shadow for the secondborn is defiant, withdrawn, attention seeker. It's so funny because when you see that, I think with the secondborn, it's not necessarily that they're attention seekers. They just tend to have bigger personalities. They just tend to have like a bigger voice. And it's not that they're seeking attention. They just kind of like demand that, like they just have a bigger opinion. So let's not look at that as a bad thing. Defiant, that could be a little annoying, but that's, I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's because they're trying to break out of the mold of what the firstborn was. That actually makes sense why the secondborn would be a little defiant, because they're trying to break out of that mold that the parents may have put on them, because the parents are just, parenting is hard, right? So you're just like, all right, it worked for the first one. Let's do it for the second one. But in nature, it just feels like, from what I've observed, the second-born is very different from the firstborn. So they shouldn't be using the same mold. You should be doing it probably completely opposite than you did for the firstborn. Then they won't be so defiant or attention-seeking. Their dynamics in the family, often close to the youngest or opposite sex parent. So the second-born might be closer. If it's a boy like I am, maybe they're closer to their mom. If it's a girl, the second-born, then they might be closer to the dad. That's what that seems to be. Interesting. Then you have your third-born. Now, I did the birth order for 4 kids because that's my experience. So if you're a third-born and you only have 3 kids in your family, then you would probably be the baby. So that's a whole different dynamic. But third-born, they're considered the middle child in a family of 4 kids. They're also called the chameleon. Their traits: diplomatic, flexible, peacekeeper. I can see that with my sister below me. Their strengths: empathy, low maintenance, negotiation. Yes, my third-born sister is 100% low maintenance. She does have the most empathy. I could see that. She definitely absolutely does fit those things. And you can negotiate with her. Even though she has a moon in Taurus, which is stubborn. She's a Cancer with moon in Taurus, very stubborn signs. She does still fit the low maintenance, empathy, negotiation. Their struggles, third-born: identity confusion, invisibility, and people-pleasing. I can see that too. She definitely is a people pleaser in the best way, because when I go to her house, she's got my gluten-free crackers, and she's always got a nice meat spread and a cheese spread. But she loves to make everyone feel comfortable in her home. So I wouldn't see that as people pleasing in a bad way, but it's like, she definitely does like to make people happy. But sometimes she maybe tries it so hard that it stresses her out. So I would say if you're a third-born and you fall into that people-pleasing role, try to just realize you can only do your best with what you have, and don't stress yourself out. Like I always say, don't kill yourself trying to make someone happy. Like, just try to make people happy because you can, but don't, like, if you're stressed and you're not happy, then you're going against what you're trying to do. You're not happy. Their family role is they're the emotional sponge and the go-to between. I can see that too. Their shadow is passive, overlooked, indecisive. This one, wow, this third-born, the middle child one, Danielle, girl, this is all you. The dynamic bonds with siblings over parents. That's so true. We definitely bond over like parental stuff. Like, when you're sitting with your siblings and you're dishing about your parents, the third-born, that middle child, she's a good one to go to. They find belonging outside of the home. And I've noticed that with her. Sometimes she tries to like detach a little bit, but she's a Cancer Taurus. So girl, you can't. You got to like embrace that you love your family. You love being with your family. That middle child syndrome you're dealing with is the finding belonging outside. But girl, you're a Cancer Taurus. You love your family. So stop trying to shake it. And then the fourth child, that's the youngest. They call that the wild card. I got to be honest with my sister. This is Maria. She doesn't fit any of these traits. So I don't understand why they say this. So the fourth child, I guess you can, if you're of 3 or 2, if you're the youngest, maybe this might be you, but traits: free-spirited, charming, creative, playful. She is charming. She is creative, and she can be playful. But you know what? She has 3 older siblings that are big personalities. So maybe we like bombarded her a little bit. So she felt stuck in her own voice. She's also a Cancer, but her moon's in Scorpio. So she's a double water. So I think she gets a little inward. I see her as she's getting older, and with her 2 sons, her children, she's blossomed. She has completely bloomed. I'm so proud of her. I feel that like she's maybe starting to like deal with some of her own trauma that, like I said, we all have it. My sisters, for me in particular, tend to just keep moving forward. They don't really like acknowledge any of the shit that they might have dealt with or gone through. But I think too, that's a gender role thing. Because I had 3 sisters, I feel my parents were easier on them. I think that they were easier on them, and there was a different treatment. So maybe that's why they don't deal with their trauma. But their strengths, humor, innovation, again, charm. Wow, they really think the baby of the family's charming, huh? Struggles, immaturity, being underestimated, and risk-taking. She's definitely not a risk-taker. The being underestimated, I could see that she would feel that. So the youngest, you definitely feel that. Immaturity, no, I don't think she's immature. Family role, the entertainer. Honey, I'm the entertainer. But again, that's I'm the boy of the family, the gay son, the eclectic. So that's where I got into that. But, so maybe I overpowered so she couldn't be the entertainer. So maybe that's my fault. Maybe I didn't let her step into her entertainer role. Maybe I'll bring her on the road. Marie, you want to get on stage? Shadow. Ooh, they are manipulative, dependent, and lacks discipline. I think she has discipline, but I don't see her in her day-to-day, so I don't know how she is like with food habits. But dependent and manipulative, no, I don't think she's manipulative at all. But again, nothing is all, So dynamic. They get most leniency, 100%. Bonds with parents differently, yes, and they resist structure. Now, I'm more of I like my structure. I resist the typical structure of like what either like society says or what like you have to do. Like I'm not into that, but as a Taurus, I love my structure. But I loved growing up with my sisters, I loved it. It's just, I remember I used to like play with their toys secretly because I was a little gay kid. So I had to like hide myself. Like my sister would have a New Kids on the Block video and I would like watch it and I would think like Jordan was so hot and I couldn't say it, but like I would live vicariously through my sisters. Like I would have my wrestling guys, my WWF wrestling guys, but I would take my sister's Barbies and I would have them go on dates, because I love a muscle boy, I love. Like I was like maybe in my mind I was the little Chachalina Barbie with the hot muscle guy, and they would be going on a date. The Barbie always left holding her heels too. Those little shoes. I used to be like, I don't know. Maybe as a kid I saw her. She was like a dirty stay out. Like she'd come out with her heels, holding her shoes, and she's got this big meaty boyfriend. But I was always the one that like my little sisters, they would call me for if I remember my younger sister before me, like she was being bullied or in elementary school. I was in junior high at the time. So like I called my girls, little gay kids. So I always had my girls, even though they were my girlfriends. And we went to that elementary school and I said, girls get them. Cause I'm not going to fight with a little kid. But like I had, we were like 4 years apart. But I had my girls with me and I said, go, let those girls know they better leave my sister alone. Or like when my baby sister, I was living in California at the time, she had called me with some issues. Like, so I loved being there for my sisters. I was very protective over my sisters. Even my older sister, I remember one time she had a birthday party, a pool party. She was a teenager. I was probably like 10 and her friends didn't come to the pool party. They were like at some other party. And her friends used to have these mopeds that they used to drive around in. I said to my sister's friend, bring me on that moped. We went around the town and we went to all their houses. And I said, you better get your ass to my sister's pool party. I don't give a shit Athena's got a party going on. You better get your ass there. My sister's party is going on. And I got a whole bunch of people there. I was like, absolutely not. Like that broke my heart. I love my sisters so much. I was very protective over them. There's even like a really cool story about how my older sister met her husband right now. So we were like friends in elementary school. We were in the same group we had the same friends. So I would hang out at his house reluctantly because they always were playing wrestling and all that shit. So I'd be hanging out in the kitchen with his mother and we would be talking. I was like a little, second, third, he came in third grade. So it was like third, fourth, and fifth grade. And then we went to junior high. We had different friends then, but we were always like in the same kind of group. And when I was in sixth grade, I remember that was when I had left that elementary school. We moved to a different part of the town. So I was in a different elementary school just for sixth grade. And my friends from the other elementary school were having a Halloween party. Now, remember, my older sister, for some reason, she never met my friend Phil. He was the husband now, but he was never really like, their paths never crossed. My older sister was always doing her thing. So their paths just never crossed, even though he was in my group. So I was in sixth grade. My friend was having a Halloween party from the other elementary school. I was still invited. And Halloween always stressed me out. Like I don't want to have to figure out what to wear, a costume. What am I going to be? I always did either like punk rocker, you spray your hair, or the homeless person. You put the dirt on your face and the fake cigar, the whole thing. Easy peasy. I never was like a big, gotta work on my costume thing. It just stressed me out. It's like New Year's Eve. Like it's just too much stress. I don't want to deal with it. So I was like, I don't have a costume. I'm not going to the party. I was crying. I remember I was out my window just crying. I was drama. I loved looking out the window crying as a kid. There was something about that. I don't know why. I just loved looking out the window and crying. It just was like something. It just was a scene. So my sister told my mom, I want to go get him a costume. So they went to the store and they got me a Batman costume. So this was, in the 90s, so Batman was a big thing. So I went to the party in my Batman costume, and Phil, who is now her husband, they didn't know each other then, he was also in a Batman costume. And it's just so weird, like how like energy is. Like my sister bought me that costume, and then her future husband was there in the Batman costume. And like we even did this scene, like everyone had to do a scene for their costume. So like we did this scene because my other friend Sal was the Joker. So we did this scene, me and him were Batmans, and we fought against the Joker. And it's just like, and then literally 15 years later, 20 years later, I don't know, I'm not doing the math off the top of my head, they wind up getting married and meeting each other. I remember it was when we were like all hanging out. We were like, we were 20 years old, 21, and we would hang out, and then my sister and her friends would hang out with us, and that's how they really wound up meeting each other after all those years. So it's just very energetically aligned when that happens, like the Batman costume. Like, what's the odds, of her buying the same, him being the same thing? No one else was Batman there except for him. So that was really cool. So yeah, so it's just amazing how like, your siblings and your family dynamic, it really does affect you. And it like, there's so much more I can get into about it, but I'm not going to like trauma dump on you guys. And I'm not going to like start going into my family dynamic. So let's just move on. But love my sisters. Shout out to my sisters. Thank you for always being supportive and being there. And with, your siblings, good or bad, hard or easy, they're your tribe. They're your people. Like they're the ones at the end of the day that they have almost the same story as you, like you guys shared the same experiences, different perspectives and different treatments from your parents, right? Like everyone gets treated differently. But they're your people, they experience life with you. They go through some of the same things. They're the ones you go to when you're sad or, when you're going through stuff, but they're your people. So try to stay, close to them. If there's drama or bad blood, try to learn from it, I would say. But I get it. There's so much stuff that like parents do differently for each kid, and you get different treatments, and there's things going on. I was experiencing a whole other thing that my sisters didn't pick up on. So, you feel a little alone sometimes, but they're there when you need them if you go to them. All right, so now we're going to head to our next segment. It's a new segment. I'm excited about it. It's called Voice Note Astrology. So I had asked everyone to send me in some voice memos asking a question about a relationship. It can be a partner. It can be a friend, a family member. It can be anyone. And give me your big three astrology. I'll listen, and I'll give a little piece of advice using your astrology. So we're going to start. This is our first one, and let's listen to our voice note. Jay?
So just a little background. My husband and I have been a couple for 17 years, and we've been married for 12 years, and we have a 5-year-old son. He'll be 6 soon. But my husband is a sun in Leo, a moon in Taurus, and a rising in Sagittarius. And for myself, my sun sign is Gemini, my moon is Capricorn, and my rising is Scorpio. And some things that we kind of struggle with are, my husband is really hard on himself because he's a perfectionist and he wants the best for our family and our life and our house and everything in himself, everything that we've got going on. He wants to be as close to perfect as possible, and he's really hard on himself when he feels like he's falling short or things don't go his way, that sort of thing. He's also the youngest of 3 boys and has dealt with some childhood trauma with him not feeling loved or wanted by his mom for most of his life, because according to her, he was an unplanned pregnancy, but that's a whole other thing. So, but my husband is very loyal, very kind, an extremely hard worker. He's just really hard on himself. His self-esteem has been tarnished, I think, over the years growing up, and I did not grow up the same way that he did, so it has been hard for me to understand. But I've gotten better with understanding and putting kind of my experiences aside and really listening to him and being aware of some of the challenges he's faced growing up. So I just grew up in a very loving household. I'm primarily an only child with some half siblings, but yeah, so it's just been hard for me to, I guess, understand as much, but like I said, I am coming around and understanding more of what he's dealt with. I have a really hard time with like being stuck in the past. Like, I don't want him to be stuck in the past or be stuck in those past feelings, but I understand that, he's processing things in his own way, in his own time, so I'm trying to be more empathetic towards him in that sense. But
all right, well, thank you so much for that voice note. I get what you're asking here, and so what I'm doing is when I listen to the voice note, I'm writing down, because I like to, when I do an astrology thing or like kind of like a intuitive birth chart read, that's what I like to call it. I like to see it in the moment. So like I wrote down Sun Leo, Moon Taurus, rising Sag for your husband. You are a Sun Gemini, Moon Capricorn, and rising Scorpio. Only child. Now, you had shared also in the message, like when we talked on Instagram, when she sent it to me, her husband's older brother is a Sagittarius and his middle brother is a Taurus. Now, in the question, she had said how like he has some trauma from that dynamic. So it's interesting too, like how we're talking about the sibling order. So he has some issues being the baby, being the youngest of those 2 boys. And it's interesting because the older brother is a Sag, and the husband's rising is Sag, and the middle brother is a Taurus, and the husband's moon is in Taurus. I love that because with astrology, like there's no mistakes. Like I always say, you can see different patterns in astrological stuff in your families. So there's something he's meant to be learning here, because for the brothers to have his rising and his moon, that's huge. Like that, he is a part of that. And his son is Leo. So Leos are naturally like, they have that leadership, they have that strength, but when they're not put in a leadership role, they tend to get a little, I wouldn't say butthurt because that feels a little negative, but like they're sensitive. Leos, especially Leo men, they're very sensitive. They might not admit it, but they are very sensitive. And with his moon in Taurus, that shows like that Leo and Taurus, that's why he's such a provider. That's why he wants the best for his family. That's why he's so hard on himself, because Taurus and Leo, oh my goodness, like those are 2 signs that like they expect the most. They expect the most. So I feel that birth order that he was put in with those 2 brothers, that was for a reason. And the mom saying that he wasn't planned, I often find that like a lot of people, they get, because, that happens a lot. It's not that it's a bad thing that they were like, oh, you were a mistake. It's not that. You just weren't planned. And you were meant to be born, clearly, but you just weren't planned. You were a special bonus. It feels like to me, like when I connect to this, I feel like he's just a sensitive person. And I think like the brothers being a Sag and Taurus, it's almost like the universe is trying to show, it's trying to give your husband challenges. It's trying to give your husband the mirror to say, I'm great too. I'm strong too. he has to find it within himself. He can't be feeling bad about himself because, the brothers were this, the brothers were that. The baby does get overlooked. Like we talked about it. Like they do tend to just overlook because the big personalities up top. But those personalities have the same signs in his big three. So your husband definitely has the capability of being that. That's why those two boys were given the Sag and the Taurus, because it's supposed to show your husband you are that too, but he has to find it within himself. And then for you, being your rising in Scorpio is what stood out for me, and being the only child. So Scorpio, especially Scorpio women are bosses. They move on. They can get through adversity like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. Like they get through it and they are just, we are here. Now we're flying in the sky. Charlie, this is for you. Like they are no joke. I always say when I come back in my next life, I want to come back as a Scorpio woman. They are no joke. They just get through it. Every Scorpio woman I've ever met, they have all this adversity that they just muscle through. It's incredible. It's really commendable. So you're rising in Scorpio and your moon in Capricorn, it's making you a little intolerant of his sensitivities. So I would say try to because the Scorpio women, they're so strong that they're sweet and sensitive, but they're not really they're kind of get over it, move on, build your strength. And then the Capricorn moon, Capricorn women, that's another thing. Very just kind of move on, get it together. And then your sun is Gemini. So you're just kind of you got your own freedom and your own spaciness, I want to say, but not spaciness in an Aquarius way. Spaciness my mind is in other places. But you're grounded because you have that Capricorn moon. But with those three signs, it's giving not being able to find your empathy. That's what I feel. That's my first feeling on this. I feel like for you, if you could find your empathy, even though it might be hard, I wonder what your Mercury is, because Mercury is how you communicate. I bet you it's something that's not real. It might be Aries or something that's very direct, but it feels like you got to find your empathy. I bet you are because it sounds like you got a great man. I love it. He's probably building things. He's I love a working man. That's so hot. But he beats himself up and you're kind of get over it. I think you got to find the empathy. I think he also has to find his strength in the versions of his brothers. Instead of looking at it I was the mishap, I was the baby, I didn't have a voice. Look at it as, what are my characteristics that they have that I have as well? Because he does have those same characteristics. He was meant to learn from that dynamic. It's so clear. But yeah, you're getting the 17 years, you got a 5-year-old. I would say too, when I think of the kid, I feel like saying as well, try not to get, I feel try to I get this feeling that the kid is very observant of what's going on around him or her. I don't remember what you said it was, but I feel they're very observant. And I feel that this kid might be very emotional. Maybe the kid is a lot of water signs. We didn't get into the astrology, but I feel that the kid has depth. And I feel like there's something deep about the kid that's meant to teach both of you. You especially, about your depth and your empathy. And maybe for your husband, how to kind of deal more with his emotions and his sensitivity. Message me. Let me know if that hits in any way. Okay. But thank you for calling in with the voice note. I'm excited about these. We're going to do one a week. So if you have a question or anything you would like to know about a relationship, it can be any type of relationship. Give me your big three. Make the voice note, clear, concise, and to the point, and let's get it done. I'm excited about this. I think it's fun. All right, so on to my final thought today. A sibling is an extension of you. It's the ones you take for granted because they will always be there. Your siblings were on the same crazy ride as you, often laughing, screaming, or crying right beside you. You had family dinners together. You were dragged to events together. You celebrate together, and you've grieved together. Never underestimate the influence your sibling had on you. Be it good or bad, it is part of who you are, part of your joy, part of your trauma, part of your relief. They are a part of your flesh and are in all the photos of your life. Love them or hate them, they are you. Thank you, guys. Follow all the socials. Say hi, comment, like. Let me know you're listening. Big shout out to Florid Media. My boy Jay, we love you. Check out his studio if you're online, Florid Media. You could check that out on all the socials as well. But yeah, check us out. Thomas Dale 5 on Instagram, Crusty Crystals Pod on Instagram. Send your voice notes to the Crusty Crystals Pod DMs. And also subscribe on YouTube, Spotify. Hit that little bell so that you get notified of the new episodes. And TikTok, Crusty Crystals Podcast. Also The Wanderers. Love you guys. See you next week.